And good evening. I want to welcome you all to the Bedminster Township June 2nd regular Township Committee meeting. We have our full Township Committee in front of us. Can I get the Open Public Meeting Act statement?
Yes, sir. Adequate notice of this meeting of the Township Committee was sent to the Courier News in Somerville, Burnersville News in Burnsville, to all subscribers, and also posted here at the Township Municipal Building as of January 6th, 2014.
I will ask you to all join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. DeFalco's here to talk to us about the tax program for businesses, and we had reached out, a bunch of us, to the Bedminster Business Association, and I see members are here of the community. I know Mr. Katz of the Far Hills Pharmacy has been interested in it for a while, so I'm glad to see everybody here to listen to his presentation.
We have a special guest tonight, and Carolyn, do you wish to introduce him or let us know
Yes.
who's talking?
This is Carmine DeFalco. He's the CEO of the property tax, I think it's property tax reward program, yep, that is currently operating in 7 towns in New Jersey, and I think a dozen more are considering it. Matter of fact, you have to make a presentation a little bit later this evening. Oh, okay, tomorrow morning. So we have some members of the BBA here and the public to listen to it, so thank you for coming. Sure. You know what, I have one. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you can either be at the podium or down at the table, whichever makes you more comfortable.
I'm fine.
As long as we get your voice on the audio for
That'd be fine.
posterity, that's what's important.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you to the members of the council for inviting me tonight. My name is Carmine DeFalco, President and CEO of FinCredit, Inc. We are the administrators of the Property Tax Reward Program. We started the program about 4 years ago, at least the development of the program, but we launched our first township in September 2012, so a little over 18 months ago, in Marlboro, New Jersey. Today, we are in 7 townships. There'll be Marlboro, Voorhees, Highland Park, Vernon, Bayonne, West Orange, and Pequannock. The program is very simple. The township issues this type of swipe cards, the regular swipe cards, to the entire population. And when people shop in town at participating retailers, a percentage of the sale, whatever the merchant wants to give back, is then rebated on this person's property tax bill. So the more I shop in my own town, the more property tax credits I accumulate. And we have some stats from Marlboro and some other towns, which I'll talk about in a minute. But let me give you a typical transaction. Let's say a restaurant participates with a 10% all-in rebate on property taxes. We go out to dinner. The cost of dinner for 4 is $100. We'll tender the $100, cash or credit, and we'll give them the Shop Bedminster card. The card is processed online or on a dedicated terminal that we provide, and that creates a $10 reward rebate. The following Tuesday, our company debits the restaurant account for the $10, keeps $2.50, so 25% of the actual rebate for program management fee, customer service, and everything that we do, and deposit $7.50 in a township dedicated account. At the end of the year, our fiscal year goes from May 1st through April 30th of the following year. So on or about June 1st, we'll send a payment file to the township together with the funds. So everything is matched by block and lot. We are interfaced just like a mortgage company would be when they send in the payment for the mortgage, for the payment of the taxes. So we work with Edmunds, we work with MSI, we work with all the major companies, and so it's easy for us. For the township, there is not additional work because it's just a file that comes to you, and you guys get hundreds of files every year that comes from mortgage companies. So it's very simple. why do merchants like the program? Well, very inexpensive, and I'll talk about the expenses right now, but very inexpensive. Also, we expect the township to do marketing for the program. You guys know your residents. We expect you to be out there with social media, mainly, maybe a couple of ads in the papers. Hey, shop local, we have this card, earn property taxes. That's what everybody else is doing in all the other towns. Every town we've been to have a very small budget, $2,000, $3,000 for economic development. We use their money for a couple of ads in the papers, and then we do a lot of social media. Everything is social media right now. So that's what the township needs to do. The cards need to be purchased also. They're $1 a piece. But in all the cases that we have, the township has a sponsor that has sponsored the cards. In this case, I believe it's Republic Bank. In the case of Shop Marlboro, it's Investors Bank, and they put their logo in the back of the card. The cards do not expire. So as long as the program is live, they have their marketing right in the back of the card, plus everything else that the township does. If there is an interview, they'll say, thank you, Investors Bank, for allowing the program to giving us the money for the cards or whatever. But that is as far as the sponsor is concerned. We also produce window clings for the windows right on the merchant's window, and that has a QR code which people can scan, and all the participating merchants are listed right on there. But also we provide banners on our web portal. And those are important because our web portal has a high traffic. Why? Because people have to register their card. When they get the card, they go online and they register. They put a block and lot. And that's how we know that this card is attached to a particular block and lot, because they give us the information. So that's why we believe it's a win-win program for everyone, for the public as well as the merchants. Cost to the merchant, there's a $10 a month participation fee, and that is it. Of course, also they rebate, but they already, if they do marketing, they already do that anyway. They go into papers, they go into magazines, they spend $400, $500, $1,000 to get into these magazines, and plus they have to give the discount anyway when people shop with coupons. I believe that every form of advertising is something that merchants should do, but this is arguably the best form of advertising for the money. We pay a lot of attention to the merchants, and we help them with things like email blasts. We help them with things like meet the merchant. We send out email blasts saying, hey, meet the merchant. This is a merchant in town, please patronize it. But also the merchants get the email addresses of everybody that shops at their place of business. So if you have a restaurant, after 1 year, perhaps you can have 500, 1,000 names of people that have shopped with a card at your place of business. Maybe you see one person shopping only once. You have to ask yourself why this person did not come back. So it's a loyalty program. This is all it is. And that's really about it. Now I just want to very briefly tell you what the other towns are doing. We have a full year, well, from September to April 2012, 2013, Marlboro, we had sales of about $360,000 for tax savings for the community of $22,000. Right now, we closed our 13-14 fiscal year back in April 30th, so a couple of weeks ago, and sales were $1.1 million, and tax savings for the community, $65,000. We have similar results in other towns. Some people do more, some people do less, but we have similar results. A user may save, if they don't put a lot of effort in it, they may save $100, $200. We have people saving $2, $3, but we also have people saving $1,000. Why? We have actually a recent purchase of a kitchen, of somebody that purchased a kitchen in town, and in one shot, he got $1,200 in property tax credits, which is great. Now you're keeping your money in town, you patronize your local business, and you get money back. Renters and people that work in the community can also participate. Obviously, they do not pay property taxes, so they put down their address. At the end of the year, we'll send them a rebate check for shopping in your own town, in your town. This is important because the idea is we want people to stay in town at the end of the day. We want them to spend money in town. We don't want to lose money to other townships. Case in point, there is a township in South Jersey they probably will do the program. And they told me, Carmine, we did a study a couple of years ago. We are losing $20,000 per household to outside townships. This is really sad for that particular town, and they're trying to obviously to stop some of that. I'm not saying that our program is going to fix everything for everybody. If you have a bad business, we are not going to make it work for you. This is just another piece of the puzzle. It's a step in the right direction. That's really all I have. I mean, I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you have.
Have you gotten any pushback or questions from residents in these towns that say, well, you know, I had to advertise 10% discount, but when I got my property tax bill back, it was really only 7.5%. Do you get, or are you finding that in some towns, the merchants say, look, I'll pick up that 2.5% so that if I, no kidding, have an advertised 10% discount when I get my property tax, it's no kidding.
That's a good point. We advertise the net to the public. So when you go on the advertising, when you go on our website page, you're going to see that Joe's Pizza is giving 7.5%. We do have a disclaimer saying the merchant pays a little bit higher to cover all the costs. So we do, everything is disclosed. So you know when you go to Joe's Pizza, you're going to get 7.5% on your property taxes.
I noticed when I went on the Marlboro site, it looked like there was 50 businesses. I counted them, that sounds about right. And then it looked like most of them were giving somewhere between a 4 and 8% discount. So that's net of, so they're really, it's really a 10% discount, but it's net on the, so you're saying on the actual website, it's net of the 2.5.
That's correct, but you've seen, but if you look at the all the restaurants, obviously you went to the retailers,
Yeah.
most of them give 12% because they're in a
And it was
15%.
15%, I think.
Right, exactly. So actually the eateries tend to do a little bit more. The 4% you've seen is in the market. The supermarkets tend to do a little less. We have an Asian supermarket that only gives 2%.
Right.
Our fee is 25% of that, so it's a half a point. So
I also noticed in the, and I guess this is a question for John too. You had an article in the New Jersey League of Municipalities, and it talked about that, and this is by the mayor of Marlboro, that they passed an ordinance to establish a licensing procedure for the program to be in place, and then they issued a license to you to be able to operate it. So I guess.
that's how they did it.
Yeah.
That's Marlboro. That's our first town. That's how they want to do it. Most of our towns do a simple resolution
Okay.
to make it work. And in fact, Assemblyman Ron Dancer of the 12th District of Monmouth County submitted state legislation about our program to facilitate the townships to implement it if they want to. And he's saying in the legislation a resolution would suffice.
And then one last thing, Mayor. I noticed two things that were interesting. If you're delinquent on your taxes, you don't get the rebate, and there's a safeguard in there, so people aren't getting rebates that are delinquent. And then if you sell your home prior to the rebate, it sticks with that lot and block and goes to the next owner, essentially.
Well,
It
not necessarily, because say you live in town, so now you move into another property in town.
Okay.
You just go on your account and you change block and lot.
Okay, but if you moved out of town?
You moved out of town, there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can call us, send us information, and we'll send you a check, and we'll start fresh with the new guy. Or what we have done, at the closing table, they ask for an affidavit from us. We send an affidavit that you have earned $200, and you recoup that when you sell your home right at the closing table, which is not a big deal, really.
Okay, interesting.
Do you or your staff have enough time to work with the business community to help them with this?
What we would do is this. First of all, we are your back office operation, obviously. We'll make everything work. We expect the business association to gather the information and to get the people. However, we do have somebody who's going to be in town. We're going to assign, we will assign somebody to your town to work closely with your business association, especially at the beginning. We'll be going out. I've gone out plenty of times, especially early on with Marlboro and some of the other towns. So I don't have a problem going out and talking to the merchants. Same thing, we would have somebody here, a VP of sales, come up here and work with your people and with the businesses, at least at the beginning. so that we can get at least 15 or 20 to start the program. Without at least 15, there's no way we can start a program, because we don't want to start a program with only 3 merchants, because it's not going to look good. Simple as that.
Okay.
You might have already mentioned this, but does your card offer the opportunity for advertising? In other words, if, let's say, our business association wanted to sponsor the card, it would obviously say property tax reward program or .com on there, but could you also say sponsored by the Bedminster Business Association or
Absolutely.
somebody?
In the back of the card, you left their logo and everything. There is one Glassboro, in fact, has decided to put Investors Bank in the front of the card. So it's really up to you. The way we design the card, we're very flexible, obviously. So we can do whatever you want to do. And not only that, they also get on the banner on the main. You're going to have your own website on our web portal. That's how people register. You're going to have a big banner, and next to your logo, there will be also the sponsor's logo. And that does not expire because it goes on forever.
I'm reading here, and it says an added bonus is that you can purchase additional cards so other household members, friends, and family. So if you encourage somebody else to shop in Bedminster, they can use your card, and you get, whoever is the holder of the card gets the
Absolutely.
benefit.
I have people from Marlboro. Their parents come up from Florida during the summer, and they go shop with their children's card, and that's fine. I have my own children. They're away to college. They come home. I'll make sure they go to the pizzerias that participate. We have actually earned $700 this fiscal year, which is great. Of course, that means my wife spent $10,000, but that's a different that's a different story. That's another meeting.
I had a quick question. When your file comes in to our town, is it a file just of numbers? There's nothing related to what is purchased by the, we're very interested in protecting the privacy of our citizens. So,
Absolutely. When the file comes into your township, it's like when it's a payment file. It's not a detailed file where everybody shops. No, it's just one line: block, lot, name, I believe, and amount. It's state mandated, so everything is numbers. So nobody's
that
going to know anything.
information, though, would be public as a file that comes into. So if anybody wanted to see what block or lot, saved X amount of dollars, that would be, just so that everybody knows.
Yes.
And we disclose that up front.
Yes,
So if somebody, it won't say where you shopped, but it will have an amount if somebody were to request that.
absolutely.
It's just like the tax records are public.
Right.
So.
I have a question for Judy, just from a mechanical standpoint. If this is only going to be redeemed annually, does that cause any issues with collection, since most of our collections are quarterly? In other words, I mean, it's going to be a very small amount.
That would be
in
the
the big
question I would
picture.
have is when you have this credit, where does the credit, if I've already paid my taxes in full and now I have a credit, it's just a credit that's gonna go on your account.
Or will it roll into next
Roll-
year,
it'll-
when you get your new bill for the
It's gonna
following
show
year?
up.
It'll show a reduction?
Well, I have,
What do
I
you,
have the
what's your
answer.
experience?
I have the answer to that,
Okay.
basically. The reason why we do it once a year, because we want to post the adjustment before the mortgage companies get the bill. Why do we want to do that? Because if we do it quarterly, then there's going to be an overpayment, a payment from us and a payment from the mortgage company, because the mortgage company only picks up the bill once a year. So what we do is we send it in June so that it gets posted on your August voucher in the adjustment
So
box.
you'd see it in the following years?
Right.
Exactly. In case, like you said, in a very unlikely scenario that someone pays the entire taxes beforehand, then it gets pushed to the next
Push to the
quarter.
next quarter, right. And we do get those electronic files from the banks all the time. That's very.
What do you use, Edmonds?
We use Vital for our,
Vital.
for our taxes.
We have Vernon that uses also Vital. So
Can we ask if members of the public?
I was just about to say, I want to hit everybody in the dais, but after that,
What's the breakdown of the retailers? And is it only retailers that are participating?
not necessarily. We have a few professionals. We have eye care doctor. We have psychologist. So yes, they can participate. Doctors, like physicians, there is an insurance rebating act that they cannot violate. So it's very hard for them to participate. But mostly it will be the retailers and the trades, plumbers, electricians. If you really want to figure out who participates, anybody that goes out there with other forms of promotions, those are the perfect merchants.
Okay, so I'm just,
Got a slogan for the psychologist, by the way.
Really?
all right.
You'd have to be crazy not to use this.
There you go.
Sorry about that.
You must have been watching Mad Men all year.
You couldn't help yourself, John.
So, if I'm just putting into tranches of, of who's utilizing this, so you have professionals, trade services, merchants, so we'll start with merchants, and within merchants, so you've got the typical retailers, the stores, the shops, and then restaurants.
Yes, that will be the most active ones. And groomers, hair salon, nail salon.
Okay.
We are talking to some supermarkets.
Are you getting any of the supermarkets?
The large
participating?
ones are hard to get.
Yeah.
Because they're corporate, of course, and it's hard to get in front of the decision maker. But we are now talking with Whole Foods and Wegmans and Key Foods. So I think it's going to be only a matter of time before we get them.
Okay, drilling down locally, the two supermarkets we have in town, King's and Fresh Market. Any?
Fresh Market locally owned?
No,
It's a national chain? Or?
Yeah,
it's a
North
regional train, North
Carolina.
Carolina.
Okay. Well, if you have good relationship with them, I'll be more than happy. We can discuss it with them, but that would be great. Do you have an Italian market, those are markets?
Yeah.
And
Oh, no, that's in Far Hills, sorry.
but we can-
And once again, and the point that Carolyn is, we had talked about this before. It's only within the confines of the municipality boundary.
That is correct. It's entirely up to you, though. That is correct. I have a township that says, listen, if I don't have a pool store in town, then why not inviting somebody else from out of town? They're thinking like that because they want to help the users. We are also doing, right now, we're starting doing the destination facilities. There'll be businesses that do not compete with your business. For instance, Vernon Township, they have Mountain Creek. We want to try to bring Mountain Creek, once they sign up, into all our shop local programs. Why? Because they do not compete with your merchants. And if you go over there, instead of going to Camelback, you swipe your Shop Bedminster card and you get money back on your property taxes back home. We're talking to a university. If you send your child to their university, they'll give something back on your property taxes. That's how wide this can get. It takes time, but we're working on that.
So for example, I'm not sure how familiar you are with Bedminster Township. We're a small town. We really have two shopping centers and then couple restaurants in between, and that's about it.
I understand.
So we have, next door is Far Hills, and certainly, we wouldn't want to compete with anything that's going to jeopardize the Bedminster participants in the BBA. But at the same time, if we're really looking to maximize the impact for our residents, we would need to look at actually the shopping and the,
Well, let me give you
consumer habits of our residents.
let me give you another, I don't want to say solution, but another alternative. And I was talking to Ms. Freeman about that. It's possible, because I have a couple of townships that are looking to do that, to put a couple of townships together and make maybe even two programs, but we can intertwine the businesses so that if you go to this town and the town next to you, you increase now the number of families, you increase the number of merchants, and you get money back to your, right on your property taxes. So you make it appealing for the merchants because now they have a bigger pool of potential customers from other towns as well. And you make it appealing for your residents because you give them more choices to go in the surrounding towns. But it's up to you, and it's up to, of course, to your relationship that you have with the town next to you.
So, for example, when you mentioned Mountain Creek, could that Mountain Creek be included in a Bedminster program?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Not only that, but we have also we're trying to talk to Six Flags. You don't have a theme park in town, but if you go down to Six Flags and you swipe your card, you get money back home. That's the idea of the destination facility.
If we were to share with another town, does that have to be implemented from the get-go, or could Bedminster initiate it on itself and then add on another town after?
That's correct.
Well, we can do that.
Yeah, you can do that.
Later on.
You can do that later, yes.
I'd like to do this in a little organized fashion. We've gotten our questions from the dais. I'd like to invite, right now, only members of the BBA to come up to the dais and ask questions. We'll let the public also in, but I'd just like to put folks in categories so that, for us to remember who said what. And I would ask that you come up, you can either make a comment, but you could also ask a question, because again, this is kind of.
State name and address, as usual?
Sure,
Yeah.
for the
Ba-
audio.
Sure. Basil's Capertis, 19 Steeplechase Court. I've heard from other BBA members concerns about using their POS system, the point-of-sale system, and how that integrates maybe with some point-of-sale system, just to make it a smooth process when a customer comes in and makes a purchase. For example, a Burger King that's in town, they have a lot of customers coming in and out. How would that work, if it works?
Well, in most cases, especially the franchises, they do not want people to touch their POS system. This is a separate system altogether. So you're going to have two swipes, just like any rewards program. Swipe number one in your POS system, we don't touch that. We don't want to fool around with that. Swipe number two on your terminal or online if you have a tablet or anything like that. So the answer to that is we are not integrated yet. We may be going forward, but what we found is that most people would not let us touch their POS anyway.
Ira Katz, Far Hills Pharmacy. That was one of my questions also about the point of sale system, because, especially when you're busy, it's going to be a pain to swipe two systems and then keep track of who's putting in what numbers. So manually you have to input how much the sale was once you swipe it?
Once you swipe it, what you do is you just swipe, you put the amount, enter go, and you're done. We have timed it, it takes 7 seconds.
Right, but if there's a mistake by a clerk, a lot of high school kids are working and they input 22,000 instead of $22, then there's a big problem for me.
We get flagged when you have odd numbers, and we call the customer right away. However, having said that, you have full control because you can go in your back end at the end of the day, after a week or whenever, and you can check exactly all the numbers they were put in, when they were put in, the time, who's your customer. You can check everything.
Is there a batch reconciliation, whether it be at the end of a day or the end of a shift, like a credit card?
Absolutely, if you want, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
You can batch it out, or not batch it out, but you can bring up the activity.
I guess
Or
at
you-
the same time, is there a receipt that could be issued to the consumer?
With the machine, yes, because it's just like a regular credit card machine, only for the rewards program. If you do it online, unless you're connected to a printer, you cannot do it. But if you're connected, yes, of course, you can pull up a printer.
Is there something that the consumer itself can log on to a system to track?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Not only that, as soon as they swipe the card, the consumer gets an email, so instantaneously, and say,
Okay.
thank you for shopping here, you've earned $2.
Yeah, there's something here about their own account. They can log on to their own account, password protected, and look at it.
Another issue with the pharmacy is we can issue rebates on prescriptions. So, it's going to be very confusing to try and have a total and then deduct the prescriptions out of the total and then do another swipe. And so probably for me, I would not do it unless it would integrate into my point-of-sale system, which is a national system. So, that would be, a way I would do it. If not, I probably wouldn't do it.
You can actually ask I don't know if you have who handles your system, but you can ask them to actually put something into the POS system where you do subtotal of what applies and what does not apply. And then you can figure it out yourself. Again, it's a business decision that you're gonna have to make.
Who pays for the terminal to swipe?
That's that's a one-time cost of the merchant. The
How much is
terminal,
that?
the terminal is $160, one-time fee for the dial-up terminal.
And then the other thing is, who guarantees that you're going to give the money to the township?
I thought you wanted to do the program.
I don't know, and I got to figure it all out.
That's a good question.
But if you go out of
I'm only-
business
I'm only
before you transfer the money,
only
what
kidding.
happens?
Well, this is the thing. We encourage the township to open an account so that we can put it straight into the township account if they want to have their own different account. That means that every week when we take the money from you, we put it there the same week. All the towns we are doing, they don't want to be bothered. They say, Carmine, you hold the funds, as long as they segregate that you send us a statement, we are fine. But I always encourage townships to open their account because we don't want the responsibility, really, because it's not that we don't want the responsibility, we don't want to be answering these questions, that's why.
But are you bonded?
We have, of course, insurance, we have bonds, so yeah, we have all of that. But it's going to come to a point where people are going to say it's not enough. So I'm telling you what the reality is.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, and is your organization, are you regulated by any of the state entities?
We don't have to. We may have to later when the law gets approved, but right now,
Permanent banking,
we don't have to.
insurance, you're not subject to any of those provisions?
No, because it's not a credit card. So we are not handling payments. We're handling rewards.
You're not going to be regulated down the road by the Consumer Finance Bureau, or you're not sure yet where they're going to be?
I doubt it that we will be, but you know something, as regulations, it's like, it's a Pandora box. You don't know what's going to come out, so.
Mr. Aufcaesar.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. DeFalco was a very informative presentation.
And just for the record, your name, and I know you're president of the BBA, but
Robert Aufcaesar, president of the Bedminster Business Association. We represent over 40 local businesses in town, ranging from horse farms and stables to brick and mortar retail shops to fast food restaurants and Iris Pharmacy, which is in a class of its own. But anything that's going to encourage people to shop locally and bring business and keep business in this town is of great interest to me and our members. I was wondering if you could speak a little bit about the startup costs that you're seeing. You mentioned businesses will have to purchase a separate terminal unless they can use their existing point of sale. And other than that, as I understand it, just the $10 monthly fee.
That's exactly right. As far as startup expense is concerned, the only thing you need is that terminal, if you want to use a terminal, or you can do it online. We have low volume businesses, high-ticket items that don't even bother. They write it down, and they call customer service. They say, by the way, I had a sale of $1,000, and we put it in for them. That's how detailed in customer service we are. But it's up to the person. Most of the people that would need the terminal would be basically the high volume, perhaps the pharmacy or restaurants, pizzerias, those kind of trades, those kind of businesses. But when you talk about a plumber, an electrician, they can just write it down and put it in a night when they go back to the office. That's really not a big deal. In fact, I would say that we have about 70% of the people that use online. So they don't even have to spend the money for the machine. That's what I meant.
And you mentioned that you started in Marlborough. Can you speak a little bit about the types of businesses that you've seen this program work particularly well, as maybe opposed to other different types where it has not?
Well, we have dry cleaners that works really well. We have restaurants and all the eateries that works really well. The pet groomer works really well. I can tell you that if you call these merchants, they will be very pleased with the program. There's one dry cleaner in particular in Marlborough that really we put them on the map, because as soon as they did shop Marlborough, everybody started going there, and he was very happy. Victor is very happy. But we also have psychologists that do well. The one in West Orange does well. A nutritionist in Marlborough does not do as well. Maybe they have one or two once in a while. But the idea is this. We are talking about $10 a month, okay, for the kind of exposure that they cannot buy for that kind of money, for that kind of bucks a month. So even if they don't have a single sale, I believe that it's worth for everyone to participate. And I have a case in point. We have a cemetery. Now I know it's kind of funny, but we have a cemetery. They haven't sold a single plot for which they give 15% back. We're
only did
happy
it once.
because what's that? It's only one-time sale.
sorry.
That's
Like Mr. Bellardo, that's coming around the corner.
we can use that as a destination business if you want. But
Even better.
but no, I heard all sorts of jokes. I always make this example. But they've not
Smile at the
No
thing.
frequent points with that.
exactly. But
Tip your waitresses, please.
but they've not swiped any cards yet. But they say, Carmine, Just the idea of be part of a township program. We're out there. You guys are doing promotion in the email blast. Our name is known. I'm fine for the $10 a month. See what I mean? It's so inexpensive. There's no reason why people should not participate. And this business model was created just for that, to make sure that it does not hurt anybody.
The last question I have is about customer service. So for businesses that have encountered difficulties, even while there's a customer, that they're dealing with, can they get on the phone and call? Is there going to be somebody there to answer
Yes.
questions?
Yes, the answer is yes. We have people that live. All our people speak English. All the other people speak English. So in our company. So yes, we have customer service.
And where are you physically located? Meaning, you have a customer service office. Where are you and where are they? Are they local?
Hamilton.
Okay.
Hamilton, New Jersey. We have also an office in Marlboro. We're trying to integrate. We're now looking for space in Marlboro because we want to put everything together.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there? Go ahead.
Actually, are you also getting, since this applies to residents, and I presume that means anyone who owns real estate, does it also apply to businesses that are resident in town?
Can you rephrase that, please?
The businesses in town that own property.
Mm-hmm.
So if Ira's Pharmacy, Ira, do you own you own the strip? Yes. So if Ira was purchasing or using services within town, he could use that for his own
Absolutely.
property tax.
As long as he has a card and he registered his block and lot, yes, he can go around and use the card and
So
go in
therefore,
and forward
it's registered to a lot and block, whether that's residential or commercial
Oh, yes.
or some other
Yes.
use.
Just to follow up on that, I thought I remember something that if you don't live in town, you can still register and get a rebate check sent to you. So I live in Bridgewater. So if I registered and shopped Bedminster businesses, I can get a rebate check at the end of the year to Bridgewater.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's why we encourage townships to give the cards to police department, to Board of Education, and to everybody that I believe you have AT&T in town. So I will give it to everybody, frankly. That's the idea.
Mr. Mayor, members of the committee, my name is Scott Zupnick. I'm a member of the Bedminster business community as well, but I'm also a resident here in town. The program really intrigues me from a consumer standpoint, actually. I mean, my business is a service business, and I travel all over the state, so as many towns as it was in and accepted in, I think would be a boon to me. But the more businesses that would participate in something like this would probably keep my dollars in town. Just as you guys are thinking about perhaps implementing this or not, as a consumer, anything that would lower that property tax burden, even by a couple of bucks, is a good thing. It's all my 2 cents.
Thank you.
Are there any other members of the BBA here that wish to ask any questions? If not, I will open it up to any other member of the public that has any questions. And here's another way, and I'll ask for my colleagues for this suggestion. Have some questions, and then maybe we will have a quick adjournment. And then, sir, if you want to go out in the hall, and if people want to talk to you at much greater length, one-on-one, we don't want to stop people from doing that, but we also want to air as many questions as we can tonight.
Perfect.
Any member of the public wish to come up and ask a question or make a statement on this? Please come to the microphone. Name and address and be heard.
Hey guys, Andrew Isaacs, 15 Steeplechase Court. Nice to see you. Overall, fairly supportive. I do have a few questions that I would want to just run by the dais just to make sure that you're thinking about some of these questions as you contemplate this. But overall, very supportive. A couple of questions were brought up, but consumer verification, how is this managed, right? So if I go in and something's $20 or $200, how does reconciliation get approved by consumer if done in the back end? You mentioned the shop owner can go back in and do whatever he wants. So how does that happen? Has the price to the consumer increased with those retailers who participate?
We have not seen that.
Okay.
Please remember that a lot of these businesses already use coupons and Groupons and all those
Okay.
things. So
Okay. Does the actual money get transferred or simply credits that at the end of the year and the amount is adjudicated, right? So on one hand, you're keeping all this money, or is it just credits? If it's actually cash, that's one thing to consider. If it's credits, it's something else, so just bring that up. Does the company have a consumer privacy policy? Who created such? What standards does your software or your company maintain in New Jersey or federal? And is your software validated, right? There's validation for privacy. Those are some things. There are privacy laws that you should be aware of. The other question would be, how do consumers opt out? Another question would be, what else do you do with the data? Data mining and selling and so forth, right? We want to avoid that. Other questions, has any partner or officer or employee been convicted of business fraud, right? Or barred from participating in such a business, and what is the legal business entity and so forth. So those are some of my questions I would ask for your learned minds to consider in terms of assessing whether this is the right thing to do, but overall, I do think it's a good idea. Just
Well, you've got the man right here, so you don't have
If
to
you
ask
go one
us
by
to
one,
ask
I'll
him,
give
you
all
can
the
ask him
answers.
yourself.
I got 'em- have 'em-
Good questions.
Go ahead. Question number one. I can't
Oh, yeah,
remember all of them. I'm
consumer
sorry.
verification. How does a consumer at the
Well, they go online, they go right into their account, and they see exactly how much they are saving in
so
property
they have to
tax
go
revenue.
online. They don't get something at the point of sale.
Actually, at the point of sale, they also get an email, like I said before,
Right.
and it gives you the total of how much you have been accumulating on the card. Or if they get a receipt, it says it also on the receipt.
And then what happens if someone goes back and reconciles something? I'm a business owner, I want to go back in, and I could do it with the back end.
Absolutely.
Do I get an email from that as well if the business
No,
owner
you can
has?
go- you're the business owner, you can go in your back end and.
No, I'm the consumer. As a consumer,
As
the
a consumer,
the
you,
business owner goes back and does some reconciliation, whether correct or not. Do I, as the consumer, get notified that the business owner has gone back and made a change to what happened at point of sale?
yes, you get the same email saying.
So I'll
now
get
there's a
another email.
There's been reversed.
Okay.
And then you have to figure out why, so you're gonna
Okay.
call customer service.
So I'm, and then who deals with those disputes? Is it your company?
Yes. Well, understand, we are the middleman.
I understand,
So
but
we do
who does the
customer ser-
consumer, if the consumer has a question, who do they call?
They
You?
call us.
Okay, fine. And does the, let's see, so, and you don't know about the prices if they've gone up, or that'd be an interesting question for some of the business owners. Does the actual money get transferred, or is it credits?
It transfers.
So you actually hold the money. Are you holding the money in interest-bearing accounts for those townships? What happens to that money, all that money?
Interest-bearing accounts, and the money is then given back to the Economic Development Committee. Although we're talking about a couple of dollars, we do give it back to the Economic Development. In this case, your business association, whatever has been accrued. We are not in the business of keeping interest.
I got that, but that's in a bond. That money's then going back to them, not to necessarily the consumers or the
No.
township. And that's going back to the business economic development because
We're
why?
doing marketing, advertising of the program, absolutely.
Okay, that's interesting. Do you have a privacy policy? Who created such?
Of course. It's on.
What standards does your software company maintain? Has your software been validated for that? Such?
It's online, as far as the private policy is concerned.
Who created that though?
We have lawyers. So if you go online, you can check it out. You can read it.
But what standard is that adhering to? The privacy policy. There are certain standards, right?
I would have to get back to you. I'm not
I think that's important.
an expert.
Okay, that's fine. Has your software been validated from security purposes, privacy purposes?
We have the highest level of SSL available in the industry.
Right.
So absolutely. But
Is your software, is your business required to have validated software for that?
well, we made it a policy to require it. Yes. That
No, but
everything is-
validated means people come in and test it. They test your security, your privacy and all that stuff.
we have done all the testing at the beginning. I don't know if that counts, but
No, it's
we have done all-
outside
okay.
agencies do that.
No,
Okay.
we have not done. We're not done outside of it. But understand something. I just want to point this out to you.
Sure.
Everything that we have in our system,
Mm-hmm.
all the private information is not private at all, because we are not asking for credit cards numbers. We're not asking for social security. We're not asking for any of that. Everything that we have uploaded is public information. The only non-public information is
Mm-hmm.
where you spend your money at. That's about the only non-public information.
So it might be important to look at the policy, but you have first name, last name, address, and so forth, right? You have that public information.
Yes,
right?
and that is also public information.
Right.
You
And
can
then
get
how
it
do-
from the township
And how do
anytime.
consumers opt out of that?
Oh, they just basically
What do you,
can send us an email to cancel the account.
do you use that data for anything else?
Absolutely not. It's in our privacy policy, and we stated that we do not sell data.
Okay.
Also because frankly, 20,000 names, 50,000 names nowadays is really nothing. Can't get much from it, so.
Any partner, officer, or employee been convicted of business fraud or barred from doing
No.
business in this area? And what type of legal entity is it?
It's a corporation.
Incorporation. And who?
Corporation.
A corporation. Who are the owners, major shareholders?
I'm the only owner.
The only owner. Okay. Thanks. Thanks for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any final bite at the apple? Anybody have a question for Mr. DeFalco? Please. And then after this one, what I'll do is take just a very brief adjournment. Let Mr. DeFalco, if he can give us a little more of his time, he can go out in the hallway and anybody can talk to him one-on-one if that's
Hi,
okay
I'm
with-
Jane Schuman at 22 Crestmont Road. The question that I have is there a long-term contract that has to be signed for this? For example, if this isn't working, are we stuck with it?
Absolutely. You meaning
We're
the...
stuck with it?
No, I'm saying you meaning the merchant.
No, for us participating in this program. Whoops.
Uh-oh.
Do you need help?
Well, I guess the merchant or the consumer or the township?
The answer is no. You can get out at any time, all three. We have a very simple policy. I'm sorry, I broke this thing.
I have a
We have
way
a
of
very-
doing
we
that,
have a-
It'll
sorry.
be coming out of your property tax.
Out of the 25%. We have a very simple policy.
Yeah.
And if people do not want to work with our organization, there's no reason whatsoever to keep you in for 3-4 years. So if you want to get out, same thing with the township. If at any point you guys don't feel comfortable with us or with the program, makes no sense for you to have it, just let us know. Give us a couple of months to basically do all the unwinding of the transactions, and you can get out. Same thing with the merchants. The merchants, the only reason why they sign an agreement with us, the merchants, because they gotta tell us what percentage they want to give back. But at any time, if they want to get out, they just pick up the phone. We want to get out, and we let you out.
And I just want to say, as a consumer, we have choices, and this might be an incentive for us to bring some of our business. I mean, quite frankly, I go to ShopRite, I don't go to King's. It's cheaper. But, you know, if King's were on board or something along those lines, cleaners, dry cleaners, same thing. I would do it here, even to save $30. It would be an incentive.
Have you had any gas stations?
We have one in Voorhees, and he's only giving half a point, but it adds up quickly.
I noticed in Marble you have an auto repair shop,
Yeah, auto repairs we tend to get.
which is a big ticket item.
Yeah,
Could be.
yeah.
The other thing I was gonna ask was, you said, I forgot my train of thought. Go ahead. I'll think of it.
Well, I was going to take this opportunity now to kind of take a break.
Okay.
Well,
Go
just
ahead.
want-
Anybody?
You talked about the threshold number of participants
Oh, that's-
before you
that's
would
it, Larry.
commit. So what sort of numbers are you looking at?
Are we talking about merchants?
Yes.
Well, we like to have at least 15. It makes no sense, like I said before, to go out with a program of this so ambitious with 3 merchants. It just makes no sense. My only concern for a town like yours is the number of participating consumers, because obviously the merchants want as many consumers as possible, and you have 2,000 families, and our penetration rate of that has been historically for the first year about 30% of the families, which is, by the way, great, but in your case it's really 600 families. Of that, we have consistent usage by 50% of that. And that's where marketing comes in, because when you want to have as many of those participate in the program. So at the end of the day, you may have 300-400 families spending money in town, which is great as long as the merchants, like that idea. That's why I was saying maybe one idea later on would be to add other townships to increase the program and make it really a nice.
But you're talking about families, but within families, you could have
Oh,
any
absolutely.
number of cards.
Yes.
So you must do an analysis of how many cards are out there and being actively used, right?
Absolutely, yes. That's the answer.
So what would be the threshold for something like Bedminster? I think Larry's question is, what do we need to get it started? What do we?
No.
and
Well, when you
put up
get
to
it started, it's
50?
very simple. You want your 15 merchants, and you want to be able to put this card in the hands of every resident and people that work in town. Now, that's going to be a game changer, because now you have a lot of people working for AT&T. I don't know what the population is. I'm sure not everybody live in town. Same thing with the Board of Education and some of the. So maybe from that 2,000 families, now you're going to have 5,000 cards out there. Now it becomes more appealing for the merchants, and, you know, we want to make them happy.
With the consent of this board, I would suggest that our next step is we put the ball in the court of the BBA, Mr. Alcaesar and your group. Talk to Mr. DeFalco, see if it is something that the BBA would like to do, see if you can muster 15, a minimum of 15 folks that have commitment to this, and then we can bring it back for a public forum again. This way, members of the public can come out and say yay or nay, or ask some more questions, and because it's to benefit the merchants. It seems fairly revenue neutral to us, but I think that's kind of the next step. And the consent.
Well, it'll reduce the taxes if enough people come to enough shops and enough shops get
Oh, no,
more
my
business.
my
Yeah.
point is, we have, the next driver is we have to have 15 businesses say, we want to do it.
Yeah.
So,
But there's a benefit to the town. The town is now seen as a business-friendly place, and that's what you want. You may also attract new businesses. Hopefully, maybe you lower some of the vacancies, because now if I want to open a restaurant, and all things being equal, maybe I'll open it in your town. So there are some benefits. The local job market. So, I mean, you're not going to see that right away, but in time, you might be able to see that.
well, I thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
for listening.
coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank all of you for coming.
Yep.